Hey, welcome back, modelers. So in this video, we're going to be reviewing the Gaahleri airbrushes. I got a couple of them from them, but don't worry, I'm going to give you an honest review, but mine's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to show you a few different accessories that you can do to kind of tweak out them, a few different known issues that you can kind of do a few different things to fix as well as kind of evaluate my airbrushing skill level. I'm a little rusty, to be honest. So we'll do that. Also, I'm going to do a torture test. We're going to see if this is as strong as they make it out to be. Alright, so here we go. I'll show you first the just handle trigger one, the pistol grip kind of one. So this is going to be the Advanced series, the GAD 68. So kind of on their lower end of the spectrum. Now, I've never used one of these, so it's going to be kind of interesting. Now, all of the airbrushes, they come with this chart. That's pretty cool, so you can see where everything goes together, and pretty standard kind of design for the airbrush itself. So, but pretty cool. Shows you where everything goes, basically. This gives you a quick start guide. Obviously, you know, connect to air, put paint in, but the good thing, it'll show you a little bit of, you know, having the right dilution, and then changing the caliber, which more we're just looking at, you know, changing the actual needle size, because it does come with the 2 needles. So a few things that you could technically do wrong with that. So showing you deep cleaning, when air reverse flow into the cup, so when you get bubbles, what could do. So there's a lot of cool troubleshooting. This actually brings up an idea of maybe making a video about troubleshooting these exact kind of things, because they cover quite a bit of stuff. One part they show the lube. I've never really had the Badger Red Gab or whatever it is, but curious if that stuff does anything at all. But cool. So that's your quick start guide, and then this just showing you, hey, there might be a little bit of paint because we tested it. Cool. So this is what everything comes within the box. So the cool thing, you've got some of the different O-rings basically for later, so if you need to, that's pretty cool. This is the 0.5, so we might actually switch this, because I'm going to probably use this for more of primer work. And then here's the brush itself. The grip itself feels kind of a little more cheaper, but it is their basic one, so, you know, can't fault them for that. But feels pretty good. Like I said, I've never used one of these pistol grip types, so it'll be interesting to see if this is more comfortable, and maybe I need to switch to everything, but I don't know. I'm probably not going to use this really for finesse, but just more of spraying down some big coverage. So you get into, that's the lube, 2 different cups, and then here's your adapter. So when you put that in there. So let's change out the needle. Whoa. And while we're there, the actual needle is kind of interesting. So they've got those grooves all around it, and so the airflow can flow not just like from the sides or whatever, but all around as it's mixing with the paint that's coming out of the little hole. So that's kind of cool. I've seen one other company do that. So not exactly proprietary, but more unique, I would say. So here's your 0.5. And everything else just really comes apart like any other airbrush. So I could show you full disassembly, but I mean, there's only so much to it. Pretty easy, straightforward. So that in a little. Okay, and then assuming the protector just comes off the other. And that's basically it. That's all you got to do to change it out. So let's get to it. Let's put in the color cup and go through a test on this. Alright, and so off camera, one thing that was interesting is the cup lid was really hard to get off. I had to wrench it. So that was a little interesting. So I am just going to be using some primer at the moment. And so this is Mr. Surfacer 1500 with leveling thinner. I'm going to start out with the test card here. And let's put back on the lid. Hopefully it'll come off later. And a little bit of there. Okay, so some people might be able to use the trigger for some really fine lines and everything. You can kind of see, because there's a lot of movement with it, right, that you can use. So there might be a big advantage. I don't know, but I'm going to have to get used to it. But you can get pretty good fine lines. It's primer, so getting a little bit of sputter. But I'm going to use this more for coverage, I think, because I'm going to use the more advanced one for more modeling type stuff. Okay, so I might have my thinner a little bit too much thinner in there, but it's flowing. So let's try it on a real thing. Alright, so I got the Hobby Boss U2 here. Just going to take up the whole field of view. Put these on later. Now let's see how this covers. So even for a 0.5, the spray width is kind of small. It's interesting. Pretty tight. Okay, I'm going to change up the mix a little bit, see if I can make it a little thicker. And it's almost transparent, so hopefully I don't spill on myself. Alright, hopefully this is a little thicker. Okay. Alright, so I've gone in and I've changed to the 0.3 needle. And let's take a look. So let's take a look at, how fine line we can get. So I'm just using now just some of the AK inks because I should be able to get pretty dialed in. Part of it's going to be air control, so I'm using my MAC valve bottom here to try to dial that in. So, okay, so with 0.3, let's see what I can do. Get pretty close. Like I said, I'm not used to this type of trigger. Pretty fine lines. So that's kind of what I'm able to achieve with it at my skill level. Let's try modifying a little bit with the air. Alright, I think that's a pretty good mix. And it keeps tip drying. So I think it's pretty capable of getting some good lines, getting some good shading. It's just, I'm not really used to using the trigger. So let's switch over to the other airbrush and let's see how we can do with that. Okay, so this is where we get into the Ace series, so the step above. And this one, standard double action that I'm used to. So this is the 98 model. So inside box, just like the other one, gives you a schematic of the airbrush parts. Now it gives you this note, but one thing that I thought was a little interesting, gives you a test sample. And if you look really close, this is printed on, not an actual, like, so I don't know what they're trying to get there. Either have your actual test or not. I don't know. So I think they may have removed that, take that suggestion, because in the other one, it doesn't have that. So quick start guide, just like the other. And just like the other, comes with a couple of sets of different needles. So this one is not labeled. Let's see what this says. And that's not labeled either. Okay, so it comes with two of them. I'm not sure which one is already in it. So that's gonna be a little interesting. So that, I have no clue. Yeah. So anyway, we'll play with this and see, because there's some, I'm guessing that this might be the smaller one because it's red, maybe, I don't know. It'd be cool if they had more of a marking thing like you have with Badger or Harder and Steenbeck. Just by looking at it, you can see what size it is. I don't know, that might be the 0.5 for, but I wonder if we can actually just see. Okay. I think the one that's actually in it already is the smaller one. So I'm going to go with that assumption, and we're going to give it a shot here. So the parts and everything, the makeup, is the same thing as the 68 model that we just looked at. Okay, so you somewhat have their proprietary nozzle, so you have those patterns with the edges out of that. But I think the Vivor or something, they kind of have the same design, but comparing it to like just a cheap Chinese set kind of might be one of the closer comparisons that everybody's looking at. It's definitely a step above. Okay, yeah. Yep, I think this is the smaller. Cool, so we'll give this a shot. See what kind of fine lines we can get with it. Alright, so this should be a little bit more familiar with. Dealing with the double action. So let's take a look at that. I think a lot of this can actually be the ink that I'm using. Just kind of either not working right or like not enough air pressure, or it's getting too much and it just spiders. And so, I mean, I'm getting a little bit of a good pattern in there, but I don't know. Let's try this again with some lacquers. Alright, so I just got Tamiya LP in here. Alright, that was looking pretty good. So, with that, you can get some pretty dang fine lines with it. So that's pretty impressive. Let's do some modeling. Start at 2, then. Alright, so it's working out pretty good. So, but I'm curious, I think some of it's just, I'm getting into really bad paint mix. You can just see it's just too thin, and it's kind of pooling up and all that. So that is user error. With it really being light and everything, for making those really fine lines, it's working well for that. But I need to change up the mix a little bit. But I'm curious, if I put the same mix into my Badger Sotar here, do we get a better result? One thing that I do like about the Sotars is this trigger. Really easy to get some precision on it. And maybe that is it there? I don't know. Okay, for the fine lines, it's pretty comparable to Badger. I definitely need to work on the mix, it looks like. Okay, so let's go back to the Gaahleri and out down the air. Okay, and then we're able to get pretty good. Okay, so looking pretty good. I'm gonna have to do some more tests on this. Maybe try a different paint yet again, and kind of come to a general conclusion, because it's pretty comparable in the end. So we'll see if I can do some more tests and get this cleaned up and come back to it. Now to disassemble this thing and show you a few tricks. Now, if you're got a keen eye, you've probably noticed that I've modified this a little bit. So I've got a little bit of, I guess, the fan tip to it to see if that makes any difference. I've also got like the 6 or 8 hole pattern one. And then I got the bigger type of trigger pad. All these can be ordered from Gaahlerie's website, and pretty fast, easy shipping from like California, I think. And I think they did at least help with the trigger control. I really like having a big and kind of taller trigger to it. Now, since it's hard to determine which nozzle is which, I'm just grabbing a little bit of a file and I'm making just a little small mark on the side of the nozzle. Shouldn't affect anything with it. And then you can kind of use the same structure as Harder and Steenbeck, that you have like one line means the smallest, so that's how I'm kind of using it. And with that, we should be able to kind of identify these two different combos. Yeah, it might be a bit barbaric, but it's functional, and who cares? Now for the torture test. I hear that these needles are really resilient, so I'm first starting out with just a carpet, just dropping it from kind of waist height. We're going to take a look at the nozzle, and then maybe go to something harder, all the way up to concrete. However, we didn't get that far. It did not survive the drop tests on carpet. So, not so great. I guess I don't need to go any further because we've already bent it. So we'll show you some detail of that. So it bent just the tip, which I'm told is just as bad as the whole thing. So in the end, I could probably put this through my needle filing tool and probably get it functional, but I don't know if I'd be able to have the same taper with it, so this might just need to be a replacement. So super scientific springiness test. I don't know, they were making a claim on this on their website to see if it's more resilient. Yeah, once again, super scientific. I'm just trying to apply just moderate amount of pressure, and it looks like it's pretty resilient. So let's maybe do a little bit more. Yeah, she's bent. So let's try with the better brand, the Harder and Steinbeck, and see what happens with it. A little bit of pressure, looks pretty good. A little bit of a bend. In the end, with this resiliency, it does pretty similar, and I'm not usually worried about the back end of my needle bending. It's usually the tip that makes me cry at night. Hopefully you enjoyed this test. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't, make some comments in the bottom, and I'll try to do better next time.